Hi there, Costa. Nice to see that you've written a new set of essays for us. So let's see what you did in this set. The first one is about movie preferences. The chart provides information regarding movie preferences amongst young male and female adults on a global scale. Okay, fine. To begin with, comedy came first in their preferences with a percentage of 145 male adults and 135 female. All right, now check out what you did. You're talking percentage here, but how can you have 145%? It's not possible. So this use of the word percentage is wrong. Percent can only be up to 100. So what you really meant here is with a figure. Figure is a great word because it's kind of a catch-all. So whether you're talking about percentages or whether you're talking about numbers or units, it's a great word to use in this context, okay? So let's try it again like that. To begin with, comedy came first in their preferences with a figure of 145 male adults and 137 female. Action movies were second as far as male adults are concerned. All right, now look at what's happening here. You're flip-flopping with your tenses because you have past tense and then past tense and then you have present tense. This is the kind of thing you want to avoid because it's confusing. And an examiner might think that you're unclear about your use of tenses, okay? So try to be consistent. All right, so it should be action movies were second as far as male adults were concerned, reaching 137, comma, while females came to 82. Taking up a significantly smaller percentage compared to that of their male counterparts. All right, again, percentage is wrong. We're not talking percentage. We're not talking even proportion, I think would be inaccurate here. And this whole expression here for me is inaccurate, taking up a significantly smaller percentage. So let's see if we can change it. What you could have said is that this figure, let's see if we can do a little quick math together. Where is that? Here it is. Yeah, so it's a figure of it's a figure about 2/3 that of the figure for men. Okay, or it is a let's see. So again, let's change this expression. Well, females came to 82, accounting for 1/3 fewer action movie goers than men, something like that. Okay, so those are some alternatives for how you could have expressed this. In a similar vein, romantic movies came second in female preferences, leading to a striking total of 116. Again, no percentage. An impressively larger figure than that of male adults that reached a total of 31. Okay, now here's again something that you could have done. It's like 4 times higher, really. All right, so rather than just giving me the straight numbers, you could have, and talking about percentages, you could have talked about comparatively that this is about 4 times higher than the figure for men watching romantic movies, or preferring, actually. Okay, it can also be noted, you don't need a comma here, that the percentage of, again, no percentage, we've covered that already, that the number of female adults that watched comedies is exactly the same as that of male adults that watched action movies. I wouldn't have said that is, I would have just said comma 137. Moreover, 63 males watched animation movies. Now I keep seeing this word that is, this expression that is. Let's look at how many times you did it. I can't actually, but it seems that you used that really quite a bit. So I want you to watch out for it. I also want you to revise the rules for relative clauses. There are some relative clauses that you can use that, and there are other ones for which you must use which. So what I'd like you to do is review some of those rules as to when you can use which, and really vary this up because I keep feeling like I see that is, or even just that, okay? All right, so moving on. The reason I say that, of course, is because they're looking for the range of grammatical structures in your answer, so try to provide it. Okay, let's try it again. So, moreover, 63 males watched animation movies. A number which is the same as those who watched drama movies, while a figure of 54 and 86 female adults watch animation and drama movies, respectively. Finally, 73 males and 64 females watched horror movies. Okay. I want to take a little look at your organization here. I want to see if I can understand the logic of the way you organize this. Okay, so I suppose that the organization is fine. I can pretty much understand how you organized it. So you organized the top ones that were top in either females or male in the first paragraph, and then in the second paragraph you talked about just pretty much everything else. All right, it's fine. But there's another problem here, which is a major problem, Costa. Look what it is. You're supposed to have an overview, okay? And you didn't have one. You did not have an overview, and that's a big deal. Without an overview, you're not going to see a 6. Okay? And of course, if you can't get a 6 in your task achievement for task 1, you're going to see that that's really going to bring down the rest of your writing scores. So absolutely remember to include an overview. What should your overview include? It should basically be the major trend, the most obvious thing, the biggest change, something along those lines. So for me, what an appropriate overview would be is something like, overall, it is clear that comedy movies were the most popular for both genders. Okay? Or if you want to give a little more information, you could say something like, overall, while comedy movies were preferred by both genders, there was considerable variation in preferences for the other movie genres. All right, that would also have been a nice overview, but you absolutely have to include it, okay? Now, there are different schools of thought as to where to include it. Some people say include it right after the introduction. Other people say, no, put it here as a conclusion. I'm always a huge fan of putting it right after the introduction, and I will explain to you why. The reason for that is that if you decide to do your task 1 second, okay, so if you start with task 1 first, and if you start with task 2 first, and you do task 1 second, if you run out of time, if you put it here right after the introduction, then you can be absolutely certain you have included it. All right, and it's like I said, it's really important. So that's my suggestion to you. Let's move. The vocabulary was really good. That's one thing I want to tell you. I liked a lot of your vocabulary, except for that problem with the word percentages. You kept referring to percentage. You could see that there is no reference to any sort of thing, but it certainly could not be percentages. So the best thing you could use here is words like figure, okay, which is a catch-all, or you could use word like maybe units, but that's I'm not really a huge fan of that either, because I believe that we're talking about people, okay, because it does say male and female. So you could have just said male and female. All right, let's take a look now at this international marketing one. The new era of globalization has introduced innovative methods that have been adopted and developed by nations to unprecedented standards. One of these methods is international marketing, and although it has altered our perception towards a variety of concepts and ideas and brought different cultures together, it has also brought about a lot of controversy. All right, now this is lovely. It's written in a very lovely way, but there's a big problem with it. Let me show you what that problem is. Okay, so what I've pulled up here is the Task 2 band descriptors. This is obviously the public version, but I want to point your attention to this, Task Achievement Band 7. It says, look at the second bullet, presents a clear position throughout the response. Now, the keywords here are clear position. Okay, now clear position is essentially whatever they ask you, the answer to whatever they ask you. Okay, and then what does throughout mean? Throughout means from the beginning to the end. So how can your position be clear from the beginning to the end? It's clear from the beginning if you say what it is in the introduction. All right, so let's move on. On one hand, there are those who believe that international marketing has a negative impact on their country. There is no doubt that there is solid reasoning, no A, that supports this notion. More specifically, in the wake of the destructive events of World War II, the United States has emerged as the undisputed sovereign nation to rule all others. Having already achieved major breakthroughs in areas such as science and technology, they have managed to influence the rest of the world to a tremendous extent. As a result, everyone else the world over wishes to experience the much desired American dream and forgets about their own customs and practices. Thus, it only makes sense to look upon international marketing as a means of a superpower to corrupt and undermine their traditional way of life. Okay, you went about this. It's really well written. There's no question about that. But in terms of the task achievement portion of this, it's a little, you went about it in a roundabout way, okay? You went about it not straightforward, let me tackle the question head on, but you went rather roundabout. So what do I mean? You said that there's solid reasoning behind this, but then you gave me this whole kind of history lesson about the United States. There's nothing tangible here. There's nothing telling me straightforward, this is an example of, or rather, this is one reason why international marketing feels like an intrusion, and here is an example or some sort of explanation to support my reasoning. Okay, and you could have done this twice. So it's all very well-written analysis of the United States, but there's nothing really main idea, my argument about this, and then how I support this. So it's a little too theoretical, and it's going to create a problem for you with your task achievement score. Okay? Now, even looking at this, you talk about United States influencing the world to a tremendous extent, etc., etc. Everyone wants to everyone wants to experience the American dream. So, it doesn't explain to us how, because you're explaining something rather positive, so it doesn't make sense then to the reader why you see this as corrupting and undermining traditional way of life. So if you had developed this a little differently, it would have accomplished your goal much better, okay? Now let's look at the next paragraph. On the other hand, there are those who do not regard international marketing as an arrogant and disparaging way to treat their morals and traditions. They only wish for those who live in this time and age to advance in terms of education, ideology, and overall progress. All right, explain to me how. Give me an example. Make it tangible. Let's not talk so theoretically, and let's actually give real live examples, okay? By doing so, their country's youth do not remain stagnant, but rather they maintain a competitive edge in an ever-changing work environment. Okay, again, very theoretical, nothing tangible. You need to back up these ideas with support, with explanations, with evidence, okay? So when you have this kind of abstract idea, which is lovely, you still have to back it up with something that makes the person understand, oh, okay, this is what Kostas means. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let's take a look at your conclusion. In my opinion, international marketing may be seen as an opportunity for young people mainly to expand their horizons, but first they have to appreciate their own cultural heritage and then those of more technologically advanced countries. Okay, so, all right, I mean, again, it's nice. The problem is that you didn't say any of this in the beginning, so this is what's, some of the things that I mentioned already are what are keeping you back from getting that score you need. So I want you to keep all of this in mind, okay, Kostas? So let's see now. Okay, now this is just a single essay correction. I'm glad you signed up for it, but I do want to see more work from you. You've got some wonderful elements to your writing. And of course, that is your sense of grammar and your vocabulary. All are really fantastic. You can see I had to correct almost nothing. So very, very good there. But what is keeping you from reaching your IELTS goals is your understanding of how to develop an essay for IELTS. Okay, so that's something we need to work on. And so this is why I really, really encourage you to sign up either for essay corrections or for the online course, which gives tons and tons of information on how to properly structure your essays. Okay, please look into those. I really want to see you reach your IELTS goals. So I hope we can help you do that. Okay, good luck, and I look forward to seeing more of your work in the future.